Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we are continuing our look at the Apocalypse themed decks, and we are continuing the look by looking at Pandemonium, which is another 5-colour deck. This is the third attempt at a 5-colour deck in the Invasion block theme decks, so we'll see how this one does that. So we have a deck list here, 16 creatures, 10 sorceries, 4 enchantments, 7 instants, 23 lands, mana curve off to the side there. So here we are again, another 5-colour Invasion block theme deck. This is, the third attempt at it. The other two have been, I feel, a little weak. Spectrum and Domain, if you've seen the previous videos of those. Yeah, we'll see what this one does different, I guess. So we have, an array of mana fixing. So Helionaut, this is actually interesting. It's not a good card, but it is interesting to see a mana filter creature in white, because that's not normally what white does. But yeah, it's a 1/2 flyer for 3 mana, and you filter mana with it. It's just not very good. Nomadic Elf, this has shown up in pretty much all the 5-colour decks. Again, it's 2/2 for 2, and it's an ineffective filtering ability. 2 Korean Elves, yep, gives you mana of a different colour, and Korean Trailblazer gives you a land, but is kind of expensive for its effect. 2 Urborg Elf, however, this is pretty good. I really like Urborg Elf. It's a card I used to use in a few decks. Just because, it's pretty good having an elf that taps for three different colours of mana. That's pretty solid. So yeah, I think it fits in pretty well in this deck. I like Urborg Elf. Emblazoned Golem is a weird one. So it's 2 mana for a 1/2. It has Kicker X. Spend only coloured mana on X. So this is like Proto Sunburst. No more than 1 mana of each colour can be spent this way. And then if you pay the kick cost, it comes into play with X +1/+1 counters. So at best, this can be 7 mana, again of 5 different colours. So essentially two colourless, and then Wooburg for what, a 6/7 with no abilities. That's pretty bad. But yeah, it's interesting to see this kind of Proto Sunburst effect. But yeah, not a great card. Stratodon is a little better, but it's still quite unexciting. So it's 1 less to cast for each basic land type amongst lands you control. It's a 5/5 trample, so again, at best, it's 5 mana for a 5/5 trample, which is just okay. And then Wayfaring Giant, this guy is showing up in all the 5-coloured decks. He's 6 mana for a 1/3, which is horrible, but he gets +1/+1 equal to your domain count. So again, at best, he is a 6/8 for 6, again with no other abilities. So pretty pretty bad. But then, so this is the weird thing about this Pandemonium deck. It then randomly runs with the Penumbra creatures, which are a cycle of green creatures that are in Apocalypse. They all have an effect of when they die, you get a black token that's essentially a copy of them, which is it's pretty cool. And this cycle kind of got added to years later. It had Penumbra Spider, which, when I was looking at it, has been reprinted so many times. It's been reprinted more than any of the 3 here. So Penumbra Bobcat is a 2/1. When it dies, you get a 2/1 black cat creature token. Penumbra Worm is one of the rares of the deck, and it's 6/6 trample. When it dies, you get a 6/6 black tramply worm. And Penumbra Kavoo is a 3/3 for 5, and when it dies, you get a 3/3 Kavoo. Yeah, these are all okay. But I just don't know why they're in here, because nothing about them really screams oh yep, these are, they're fine muscle, I suppose, in the deck, but I really would have liked to see them in sort of a deck of their own where they could have, I don't know, you could have done more with them. It just seems weird they're included in here. And then we have a bunch of domain spells. So allied strategies, you draw, target player draws X cards where X is your domain count. Tribal Flames, you do X damage where X is your domain count. Tribal Flames, I think, is probably the best one just because it scales really nicely. despite being a sorcery. Exotic Curse, enchanted creature gets +X, -X, where X is your domain count, and evasive action is a new one from Apocalypse. Weird thing that like all these domain spells were kind of scattered amongst the three sets. It just means, like if they were doing that and you're trying to, do a deck that's filtered around these domain cards, like trying to do it in the first or second set isn't going to work as well because you don't have as good as many options. So it's a weird sort of design choice to do that, whereas maybe like it would have benefited to have all these domain spells like in plane shift, which is something they do. We're going really off topic here, but like in the future sets, like in the Alara block, the Conflux set was the set that had all the domain spells, because that set was really about 5 color, so it made sense to have all the domain spells there rather than kind of scatter them around the all three sets. But yeah, so these are all fine. And then we have some land fixing. So Gaia's Balance is one of the new spells from Apocalypse. So 4 mana, as an additional cost to play it, sacrifice 5 lands. So if this gets countered, you are well within your rights to forfeit, I think. But basically, you set your land type for a land of each basic land, put them into play, shuffle your library. So that basically, the idea is to give you instant domain with that. They come in untapped, which is something. But yeah, if that gets countered, you're screwed. you have full permission to forfeit after sacrificing 5 land for no reason. 3 layer the land, so this is kind of like half a rampant growth. You just search for a basic land and put it into your hand. 3 of those. 3 Harrows, this is showing up in all of them. Really like Harrow, not much to say about it. And Fertile Ground, again, not much to say about Fertile Ground. It's been in all of them so far. Yeah, it's just solid aura to go on a land. Right, so the other rare of the deck, Last Stand. This is a bit more interesting. This is like, I don't know if it's a good card. It is a fun card, and I think it's like a perfect rare to put in like a 5-color deck, because like the other 5-color decks we looked at, they didn't have like a big splashy, like in Spectrum, it kind of missed out on the chance of having Coalition Victory, which would have been really fun. And in Plane Shift, the domain deck, it missed out on having, something like Chromat or Draco, which would have been a big 5-color crazy sorcery. So Last Stand. 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red, 1 green, sorcery. Target opponent loses 2 life for every swamp you control. Last Stand deals damage equal to the number of mountains you control to target creature. Put a 1/1 Saproling into play for every forest you control. You gain 2 life for every plains you control, and you draw a card for every island you control, then discard that many cards from your hand. So yeah, this is like a big, fun, kind of dumb card. I really like it. I think it's, I don't think it's, I'm not sure if it's good, but it is definitely fun, and I think it fits being in a theme deck like this, because, if you bought this and it was fresh out of the pack and you saw this, be like, whoa, it's a big sorcery that is 1 mana every color. It's got to be super good, and it has, whoa, all this text, and like, it's, yeah. I'm not saying you'd win a game with it, but yeah, I think it's a really good fun card to have, and I'm really glad this last 5-color deck of the block theme decks kind of embraced that. Then we have a Captain's Maneuver, which just like reflects X damage around. It's perfectly fine. We have a Life and Death, and we have an Order and Chaos, a split cards. So life turns all your lands into 1/1 creatures. Death lets you reanimate something. Order exiles an attacking creature, and Chaos means that creatures can't block this turn. Of these two, I like Order and Chaos a bit more. This is I'm saying this a lot with Apocalypse cards, but I really like Apocalypse as a set. This was a card if I could get into a deck, I would, just to have that Chaos side, because just being able to remove all blockers for a turn is really good fun. So, what could have been? Oh no, I said Chromat should have been Plane Shift. Chromat was in Apocalypse. I was such a fool. Yeah, Chromat could have been here. Let's just cut ahead that. Yeah, instead of Penumbra Worm, would have been fun to have Chromat as another big 5-color card, just because he's big legendary 5/5. I think he's like an illusion. He's been oracled to be. He has like all these abilities that require enemy colored mana to go off on. Yeah, just would have been fun. Or Legacy Weapon. That would have been like a really fun. It's legendary artifact. Its ability requires mana of every color, and it exiles permanents, and it can't really ever be destroyed. Should have been, would have been fun to have this in here. Some other cards. Necrovolver is kind of here as a representative all the Volvers, which were again like a cycle in the set. So I don't think really any deck incorporate the Volvers, which is a shame because like they're kind of fun. Like they're not great again, but they are fun. So they're all, I think, 2/2s for 3. The green one might be bigger and the white one I think is smaller, maybe. Anyway, but they all have 2 kicker abilities of like enemy colors. So they're kind of like the battle mages from Plane Shift, and if you pay whichever kicker cost you pay, they get a certain number of counters and a keyword ability. So Necrovolver I think is probably one of the better ones, just because it's not too much mana. 3 mana? So it would have been 6 mana in total if you wanted to get all his abilities off, to be a 5/5 with trample and lifelink, which is, I mean, it's all right. But then also Reef Shaman is kind of like this set's Dream Thrush, where it's like a 0/2 and it taps to make a land into a different land type to end of turn. So that would have worked with the domain spells. Satyr Disciple is again here kind of representative of all the disciples who were like these 1-mana creatures. They're kind of like the apprentices from Invasion. They all have like, they're all 1/1s for 1, and they have 2 abilities that require different colors of mana. Satyr Disciple I think would have fit in better here, just because it has a filter ability. Its green ability lets it filter mana, which would have been fine in this. And then Fervent Charge and Fungal Sham, just threw these in because these are fun, like 3-color cards. And again, like no other theme deck in Apocalypse was 3-color apart from Burial, which we looked at, but the green, white, black 3-color card was like really bad. But these were both rares that would have been, I think, kind of fun. Fervent Charge just gives your attacking creatures +2/+2. Fungal Shambler is a big dumb trampler, and when it deals damage you draw and they discard. Would have been fun. Yeah. So in summary, like, I think out of the 3 5-color decks that have been in the Invasion block, this is probably the best one, just because it benefits from being like the 3rd set, so it has more cards to draw from. I do not really understand why Penumbra Worm is in there, other than Penumbra Worm just being like, just a big creature, like they being, a cycle of kind of green cards you could just throw in. Yeah, I just feel it's still like a little weak. Like apart from the Penumbra creatures, the selection of stuff is like pretty weak. You've got like kind of like the weak domain creature cards like Wayfaring Giant and the Emblazoned Golem. You've got the domain spells, which again you really kind of need 3 lands of different types out for them to really start being worth it. Yeah, I say this one's probably the best, but like I really wish in this last set they had just made another kind of like enemy color one, like they hadn't gone 5-color. So, but I say out of all the 5-color decks I looked at, this one's probably the best. But that's just my opinion. I'd like to know what your opinion was, like, especially if you had this deck and you played it and you made changes to it. So stick a comment below. I'll be back next time to look at another Apocalypse themed deck. But until then, thank you for watching and listening, and have a great day.